For 44 years, Varsity Ford in Ann Arbor has been more than just a dealership. We're a family, proudly serving yours. As one of the top volume Ford dealers in the world, we're proof that when you treat people right, they come back, generation after generation. And now we make it easier than ever with complimentary pickup and delivery for both sales and service. So you can buy or service your Ford without leaving home. Varsity Ford, driven by family, built on tradition.
All right, welcome back to Gridiron Gang, a Detroit News Lions podcast. The Lions win 44-30 over the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday Night Football, save their season, elevate their playoff odds from 30% to 45%. A big win for these Detroit Lions. 2 scores, a game that not a lot of people expected them to win in the way they did, but they came out, they played complimentary football, all 3 phases, and this looks like the team that we've been waiting for all season long.
I mean, I certainly picked against this team. I picked the Cowboys to win this game. I was kind of out. I don't remember what you picked in our official predictions, but I'm on the way here this morning. Nolan was like, he said, I just wouldn't be surprised if they win by multiple possessions. And I was like, hand up, I will be surprised if they win by multiple possessions. But I mean, they surprised me today, and I don't even really know where to start talking about it because there was so much. I think complimentary was the exact perfect word that you used. Special teams, the return game was as good as we've seen it all season long. The defense forces 3 turnovers. The offense explodes for 44 points, and because of the short fields that they were given by the special teams on the defense, it was really all hands on deck to, for now, save the season.
And I should probably introduce us here real quick. That is the wonderful voice of Richard Silva, who is complimenting me, Nolan Bianchi, on my wonderful prediction on the way into the game.
That's enough of that
today. And we also have John Niyo, our favorite columnist here at the Detroit News. What's kind of top of mind for you?
To your point, the defense forcing those turnovers is what allowed them to get that big lead. And then it was, wasn't never in doubt, but it never really got super
The Cowboys did make it a 3-point game in the fourth quarter.
But even then, it felt like we'd seen enough from this offense. Okay, they're going to be able to go down and score some points. And then, of course, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown with the dig route there to, set up that's actually after. Sets up that sort of defining game-ending touchdown. But he sort of set the tone to me by being out there. And we talked about it all week. Is he going to play? Is he going to play? He didn't practice all week. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown, though. So you figure, well, if he's able to walk, he's going to be out there. And that's kind of the way it worked. He said he couldn't walk Friday, couldn't walk Saturday, Sunday. He was off crutches, but he still couldn't jog. Tuesday, he started to feel a little better. Wednesday, he did a workout, knew he could go. And at that point, there's no stopping him. Everybody else in the locker room was like, I expect. Taylor Decker was like, I just think it's Amon-Ra. He's going to play. Yeah. And he did. But he was also, it was important. The first pass goes to him and takes a play off, then doesn't miss another play the rest of the half. It just sort of sets a tone. The game-sealing catch, that 37-yarder to set up the last touchdown to put it out of reach. No, there's all sorts of guys like that in this locker room. That's why we talk about grit all the time with this team. But there is a bell cow, and he's that guy for me.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the defense in a second. They were sensational tonight, at least given the circumstances. 5 sacks for
sacks. What are those?
Yeah, right. Been a long time since a defensive lineman have gotten to the quarterback, consistently here in Detroit. But they were awesome. We should stick with the offensive side of the ball, though, because it wasn't just Amon-Ra St. Brown. It was Jameson Williams, 7 catches for 96 yards. That ties the career high in catches that he set last week against the Packers. Jahmyr Gibbs, also fantastic, despite the fact that he didn't really run the ball all that well. 12 carries, 43 yards, but through the air, 77 yards on 7 catches and 3 total touchdowns on the ground. Got in the end zone when it mattered. Just a sensational performance all around from these offensive weapons.
St. Brown also setting the NFL record for most catches in the first and a player's first 5 seasons with 506, which is bananas. You know what I mean? If you think about that, and
go ahead. Tied Barry Sanders for most touchdowns by a player before their 24th birthday, which he is going to break because he still has a full season left.
It's remarkable what some of them can do. But to your point about JMO, before St. Brown's 34-yarder was the 3rd and 8 to JMO on the crosser. Yep. And penalty aside, because James Houston smacked Jared Goff in the side of in the face mask, so Lions would have had a first down anyway. That aside, what a clutch play from both. ridiculous throw by Jared Goff, like a laser with pressure in his face while getting knocked down, and then just a great route and a great catch by JMO to come through. Right, we saw it last week. Apart from the 4th down drop, that was probably the best game of JMO's career last week against the Packers. Not quite that today, but still really impressive and really important.
And in addition to that play that he made on the 3rd down that you're talking about, he also dug him out of a 1st and 25 that ended up, I think it was a touchdown. I can't remember which one, but it was a David Montgomery touchdown. It was right before the 35-yard touchdown by David Montgomery. He deserves a shout-out too. 6 carries, 60 yards, a 35-yard touchdown. And this was a game where it kind of felt like it was Monty time. You know, they've been going away from him a little bit.
That drive in particular was like, all right, we're going to ride this. That was huge. And but it's funny though, this was a game where, was it the first half? I think it was 28 plays, 22 passes, 6 runs, and one of those is a jet sweep to JMO. And Dane Campbell talked about afterwards, like, I told Goff, we're going to put this game on you, and we've heard that several times over the last few years, but tonight in particular, I don't think the plan was for it to be that lopsided pass run, but they thought they could take advantage of the middle of that defense, and they did. And that really set the tone, I think, too, for this game that, okay, we're going to win a shootout if it has to be a shootout. And it turned out to be a shootout in the end.
I'm not a mathematician, but Isaac Tesla has 8 catches and 4 of them for touchdowns. So if they throw him the ball 100 times, he's going to score 50 touchdowns. No, but it's nuts that the guy, half of the guys, all the guy does is score touchdowns and make one hit.
Well, I was just going to say the 2 that went over his head on, both would have been touchdowns as well. And, it's like, God, it's amazing.
All he does is one-handed catches and touchdowns. Like, what a life. Like, I mean, that's awesome. The offensive line, I think, outside of the first 2 possessions, which were a disaster, Jared Goff had 7 dropbacks on the first 2 possessions, 5 quarterback hits, and a sack. Yeah. 1 play where he was not having to run for his life. But then after that, with Tristan Colon and with
Miles
Frazier, thank you, the rookie, ham and egg in it at left guard, like they were. I thought the offensive line. Thank you. I thought the offensive line was really good.
And I think it was probably only like 3 or 4 pressures the rest of the game. Which, I mean, again, he did. How many times did he end up dropping back? Like almost 40 times, probably
34 attempts. So, and we should note that the sack that you talked about was by way of one James Houston, who got the first sack of the game. We've talked about the Lions' pass rush problems, and he, Goff is leaving the pocket, which made it easier for him to get around Penei Sewell. But he got there quickly, and it was just like, man, that is not a good omen. A guy who they released or waived last November out of the building, one of the most prolific rookie seasons we've ever seen, and now he's doing that for the Cowboys. Right. So, but ultimately, we should talk about the defense because that part did step up in a big way today. Al-Quadin Muhammad, 3 sacks. He now has 9 on the season. That is leading the team, I believe. Aiden Hutchinson has 8.5. So just another really good performance from him. And you and I were talking on the podcast.
There we go.
Again. Unfortunately, I regret to inform you that I did once again do it.
Why is it always this every week?
I'm really clairvoyant. I don't know what to tell you. But
except maybe in some other predictions earlier this season.
Yeah, okay. The Bengals game was getting out of hand before Terran Arnold. Whatever. We won't bring that up. What I was going to say is that you asked me on the podcast the other day, how do they get more pressure on the quarterback? And I said, I don't know, speed, because that seems to be the thing that was holding them back. And you got some good quotes in the locker room that was kind of revelatory, but this defense was really kind of just seemed like it was playing to contain the quarterback and not really get after him. They changed that up a little bit today. They get to him 5 times. It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson was talking about the pass rush, and he said that he felt that the reins were taken off of the D-line this week. And a couple questions passed, and then 97-1's Will Birchfield was like, hey, circling back to that. Like, what exactly did you mean when you said take the reins off? And I thought Hutch kind of explained it well, where, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the quote in front of me, but don't worry about if it's a run. Just go get the quarterback. Like, I think this team and this defense in particular focuses so much on run defense, which is obviously good. Like that they're an amazing run defense for a reason, but also like containing the quarterback. Like they rush a certain type of way. They want to like slowly shrink the pocket and like collapse it all at once. Not using speed, like Al-Quadin Muhammad, I think specializes in. And Hutch said, yeah, take the reins off, just go get after it. And they did.
And there's another strategy that I think worked well today, and that was to take an 18-point lead.
Yes, that helped a lot.
Force the other team to pass a little more. That's always a good way to get some more pressure on the quarterback, and that definitely played a part in this. I mean, Hutch ended up with I think 10 pressures today, and
a bunch in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Why don't they just run the 18-point play?
I know exactly right. Well, it just says might as well try. But no, that was a big part of it too. To get that lead, get everybody felt like they were humming again. Offense, defense, and then as you guys talked about, special teams hadn't really won them games to this point. Mm-hmm. It felt like they kind of won that game in a sort of low-key way.
Tom Kennedy has been a revelation as a returner. 3 kick returns today, 120 yards. That's an average of 40, long of 42, so super consistent with it. He had the biggest punt or kick return of the day. It was after the Cowboys cut the deficit to 7 late in the fourth quarter. Lions getting the ball back, looking to close it out. Tom Kennedy rips off a 42-yard return, gives Detroit the ball at midfield to start the drive, and away they go and ice it out.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's again, Brandon Aubrey's kicking 60-yarders like it's nothing, and so it's not like they necessarily won the special teams battle in that sense, but and they did have a field goal block, but it was huge. Tom Kennedy was huge. There's a reason why he ended up at the podium after the game, probably the second time in his career, but no, that was important. Again, it was going to take all 3 phases to win a game when you're missing both your tight ends and you're missing this and that and whatever. You lose
down to your fourth safety.
Down to your fourth safety. Brian Branch gets carted off with an ankle injury that didn't look good. He was in a boot after the game. But, yeah, it was going to take everybody, and it did take everybody.
Circling back to the defense real quick, Jack Campbell, again, just unbelievable. Yeah. He gets the 1 sack, which is I was going to say that's his biggest highlight of the day. No. Actually, no, it's not. No. The forced fumble is probably his biggest highlight, but just 12 tackles, couple run stops, the forced fumble, the almost safety that some people are going to say still probably a safety. I don't know. Maybe it was out, maybe it wasn't. But regardless, the Lions got the ball and scored a touchdown off of that anyway. Jack Campbell forces the punt with that sack. He's unreal. And then Derek Barnes gets an interception as well off of basically a Meek Robertson just throwing a lob to him like off the glass. Right. And he's by tipping a ball in the air, and he's able to get it. Derek Barnes was made fun of a lot in the locker room for not being able to score off the interception because
Derek Barnes, man, he gets made fun of after missing Jameis on a play he wasn't even supposed to be there for. Right? He gets made fun of for getting an interception that swung the game and might have actually won.
He got asked about, a reporter asked him and said, hey, really the only person between you and the end zone was Dak Prescott. Did you think about lowering your shoulder? And Alex Anzalone, who was sitting off to the side, jumps in and was like, yeah, what was that about? And then Derek Barnes said that he felt his hamstring cramp up. So he was like, just let me get out of bounds. And Alex was like, yeah, sure. All right, man. Amik Robertson was also giving him some grief and said he was talking about that play. And he was like, yeah, and Barnes should have scored. I got to talk to him about that. And then I told him what actually, he said, Anzalone says it's an excuse, but it's the truth, was what Barnes said. But his excuse, his explanation, whatever, I told Amik Robertson that, and Amik was like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. He should score the touchdown.
It should note that led to a touchdown. Yeah. The Lions, or the fumble that Jack Campbell forced, led to a touchdown in the first half. And then they got one to close it out, too. So when we talk about complimentary football, that's a big part of it as well, because that was something that the Lions defense was doing at the beginning of the year, and the offense wasn't always capitalizing on it. And it was pretty frustrating, kind of a major kind of it was emblematic of the problems that they were having at that point. So the fact they're converting on these opportunities now, I think, is big.
And they had a safety that got taken off the board as well. That was another. The other thing you're talking about, cutting it loose, sort of, Hutch was talking about, sort of freedom or whatever. They also blitzed some, successfully blitzed early in this game. I don't know what the blitz rate ended up by the end of the game, but it did feel like there were some more timely blitzes early on that really made a difference and got things rolling for that defense.
Yeah. Anything else?
Just, I guess maybe in terms of big picture, the fact that for one more week the season is saved. You know what I mean? We'll see. They can still afford probably one more loss.
They can afford one more loss, and I think everybody, as we sat there thinking about, well, what do they have to do to make the playoffs? Got to get to 11 wins. Everybody sort of looked at that LA game next week as well. They could lose that one and still get in by winning, blah, blah, blah. Right. I think that's still the case, but you got time to rest now. You got to go to LA, yes, and you maybe have to play without Brian Branch, which really hurts, but maybe you get Kirby Joseph back by that game. Anyway, I think anything's still possible for this team, and I think that's what you're talking about. Like, this was going to be real doom and gloom if they had lost this game. Basically, zero margin for error, and basically fingers crossed, less than 20% chance of the playoffs.
Well, and I think the big thing is that offensive line. Like, if that had looked bad the rest of the game, but they had still found a way to get it done, it would have been like, all right, well, they technically improved their playoff chances, but it didn't really look great. I don't think that was the case after these 2 drives, like you mentioned earlier. They really buckled down. They were really awesome. And if you can get a win in the NFL without showing the kryptonite that could cost you a Super Bowl, I consider that to be a good thing. So,
right. I was going to say, I don't think the Cowboys pass rush is the Rams pass rush. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
James Houston leads the Cowboys with 5.5 sacks. Right. You're talking about with the Rams where they just, they roll guys like on the field, the bunch of top high-end picks on that defensive line. So I don't want to, and I don't think any of us are saying this, but I don't want to be like, oh, well, like season, all of it's back on. Like they're not going to lose again.
They might not.
But exactly, they might not. But I'm not convinced of it. What I will say is I came into today honestly expecting the Cowboys to win and to effectively end the Lions season. And that's not what happened. And the Lions prevented that convincingly. So they, abundance of credit for that.
Yeah. All right.
Agreed.
Nolan Bianchi, Richard Silva, John Niyo. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Tom Gromack for waking up early and putting this out. Other than that, we will talk to you guys probably in a week now. We got a little bit of a mini bye here, so our next episode we'll record on Wednesday evening. Have it ready for you on Thursday. Rate, review, subscribe, and when you wake up, it'll be ready for you on your way to work. Talk to you guys later.